Welcome back to season 2 of Halftimes and Harmonies. My name is Hope, and we are back in business, baby. We are back and kicking with season 2 of Halftimes and Harmonies. Yes, and this season will be a little bit different than last season because this season we're going to have some guests join us. Some very, very special guests join us. Those will be coming very, very shortly. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I just wanted to recap an incredible World Cup that we just had. If you were unaware, then that means that you were probably living under a rock. Women's World Cup just happened down in Australia/New Zealand. I will say that I was not able to watch as many matches as I wanted to simply because most of them happen at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So I did catch a few great matches throughout the entire tournament, but because of early flights I had throughout the summer, and that was like the only benefit of having those early flights was to be able to see some of these great games, right? So okay, so I wanted to go ahead and just kind of recap the entire tournament in and of itself. Yeah, so let's get to it. All right. So I think there's some big stories. There's some big stories throughout the tournament. Obviously we had, starting at the beginning, our debutantes. That was Haiti, Morocco, Panama, Philippines, Portugal, Ireland, Vietnam, and Zambia. It's a lot of countries having their first ever tournament. This was also the first tournament that included 32 teams, I believe. Yes, if I'm remembering correctly, yes. This is the first expanded tournament, yes, with 32 teams. Last time it was like 26 or something like that. But they expanded the tournament, thankfully, and finally, and it was pretty fun. So yeah, we had a lot of debutantes. We had the Philippines and Portugal win their first ever World Cup games, and we also had Morocco win their first ever World Cup game and advance to the round of 16. So Morocco has a lot to celebrate on the men's and women's side of soccer. But along with a bunch of debutantes, you got a bunch of seasoned veterans coming back into this tournament. And there were some early exits from a lot of big teams, including Germany, who lost in the group stage, Brazil, who also lost in the group stage, and Canada, who lost in the group stage as well. Oh, I forgot to mention that Zambia also had a first-time victory as well. So congrats to them as well. But the shocking exits happened with those big names, Germany, Brazil, and Canada. And then obviously y'all know about the United States losing in the first round of the knockout stages in the round of 16. And speaking of the knockout stages, they were crazy and insane. There were a whole bunch of teams that were made it to the knockout stages for the first time, like South Africa and Morocco, as mentioned before, Nigeria. Pretty sure this is Jamaica's first time to the round of 16 as well. So they were doing well, and it was interesting because in the knockout stages in total we had 4 games go to extra time and 3 go all the way to the distance of PKs or penalty kicks. So that was intriguing, including the Sweden versus United States game. I will be doing a deeper breakdown on the United States, where they are right now, and where to go forward after a lot of things have happened within the past like 2 weeks since the World Cup ended, or like at least a month since they ended their journey in Australia/New Zealand. So I'll go into that probably next week. But in terms of their game against Sweden, it's pretty good. But they lost in PKs 5-4. We had Alyssa Nair score a PK. That was great. She's our goalkeeper for those of y'all who do not know. But yeah, it's fun. But I'm just looking at the bracket here. Starting at the top, Spain. Congrats to them, first off. Congrats to Spain for winning the entire thing. Um, I'd say they had a pretty hard bracket to get through. Had to face Switzerland, the Netherlands, Sweden, and then England in the final. Um, yeah, so but the Netherlands, they kind of just skated by, truthfully, and then they made it um to the quarterfinals. Japan was a shocker. Now Japan, I thought was gonna go all the way, but they got upset ish by Sweden. Sweden's also pretty good. They got upset by Sweden in the quarterfinals. And then Australia. Let's give it up for the host, co-host. They absolutely dominated, and then Sam Kerr coming back from injury, and she did absolutely everything she could to will her team all the way to the semifinals and eventually falling in the third place game. So they got fourth, which is the best finish from Australia and one of the best finishes from a host country like ever. And I this was one of the results of having an early morning flight. I was able to see the insane end to the game against they had against France, where they went to PKs and there were like 11 frames of it. It was insane because it was like, okay, well, it was like France missed, and then Australia had the chance to, win it, and they missed too. It was crazy, and it was very very fun to see. And my nerves were extremely high at like 5-6 a.m. It was pretty fun. But yeah, they had a good run. England as well. They had a pretty good run as well. They had the coach from the Netherlands, actually, the coach that, or the manager that willed the Netherlands all the way to the final back in 2019, is now the head coach of the England national team, and she brought them all the way to the to the finals as well, and they ended up falling 1-0. But that game was much more dominant than the score implies. Spain should have won that game probably like 3-0, something like that. But yeah, and then Sweden got third because they beat Australia 2-0 in the third place game. But yeah, and then yeah, the representation of South America with Colombia. We had a little bit of African representation with Morocco and Nigeria, and then we had a little bit of I forgot about South Africa being Africa representation as well, and then we had Jamaica being the Caribbean representation. Good for them. So that was lots of fun. And I enjoyed the tournament, truthfully, as much as I could. I'm hoping the next tournament is in a time zone that's not as tedious to watch in, or maybe I'll be working it. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much it for the entire World Cup crazies and all that. And I really enjoyed the World Cup. And genuinely, I'm glad in attendance was really high. Um, I think almost 2 million fans went to all the games combined, which is pretty impressive. And props to Australia for really upping the event and doing really, really well. And they brought a lot of passion. They brought a lot of poise. They brought a lot of ownership and pride for hosting this World Cup. So props to Australia/New Zealand for hosting this World Cup. Yeah, so looking forward to the next World Cup. We don't know where it is yet, which is interesting because, you would think you know where the next World Cup is before the current one happens, but no. There are a few countries in the running. I'm pretty sure it's I think the United States has something. Brazil, a joint host between Spain and Portugal, and then I believe South Africa is also vying for it as well. So we will see what happens, and yeah, we will see. I'm excited though. I'm really excited, and I think The US will be back in it definitely next time. So be sure to look out for that. But other than that, thank you all for joining me for episode 1 of season 2 of Halftimes and Harmonies. And as always, au revoir, ciao, adios, and goodbye.